Company.
No hits for the Nats. Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter. The second no-hitter in Padres history.
Dylan Cease fires the second no-hitter in Padres history, blanking the Nationals 3-0 out in D.C. Full reaction and analysis all day. Now, it's time for Jon and Jim.
All right, Jon and Jim, hour one on a Thursday. Of course this would happen. So last night on the wrap-up show, knowing that Jon would be off today, we actually talked about it, Brent, for probably about 5 minutes or so. And we were talking about, like, what are the biggest stories that have happened during our time for Jon and Jim? And the ones that we came up with were the Fernando Tatis Jr. suspension, the Juan Soto trade, but the Juan Soto trade happened before our show, and we had a show that day, I remember. Dylan Cease being traded here, we had a show that day together. But what we were joking about was, yeah, nothing ever happens when, like, one of us misses. Like, if, like, I'm going to Europe in a couple weeks, right? Jon's off today because he had gum surgery. And it was like, nothing's going to happen. Nothing of importance. It's just a regular game versus the Washington Nationals on a random Thursday in July. Oh, the second no-hitter in franchise history happened today with Dylan Cease on the mound? Oh, and Jon's off today? Of course that would happen when Jon is off because of his gum surgery.
Usually things like this happen when you're gone or you're still asleep. So this is a new one for Jon.
It either happens something at like 6 a.m. I missed the Manny Machado extension or the Yu Darvish extension. Fernando Tatis Jr., something happens with him, a big time trade, right? But usually more often than not, we have shows together starting at 3 here on San Diego Sports 760 when there's big news that happens. And of course, we had to jinx it last night that something big would happen the day that Jon is gone. And to be truthful, you're welcome, because if we didn't talk about it, who knows if this no-hitter even happens today. So I'm going to say that because me and Jon mentioned it last night, that no big news happens during a day that one of us is off. We'll take credit for that. We'll take full credit that Dylan Cease today throws the second career franchise no-hitter. Joe Musgrove, you have company. Dylan Cease today, and he was fantastic. He was, you knew the second he gets out there after a really weird, wonky start. It was just, you start the game, and then you immediately have a rain delay like 5 minutes later. It was a weird start. Why didn't they start it later? I don't know. That's water under the bridge, no pun intended. Because all that matters is that Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter. But when he went out there, you knew that he had it going. His slider was on point. He was efficient. It wasn't like the greatest no-hitter ever, but that's beside the point. It was 114 pitches, which, I mean, on regular outings is good. Patrick Corbin today had 9 pitches in 7 innings. Dylan Cease had 5 more pitches than Patrick Corbin, and he pitched pitched a no-hitter. It was something that I think will go down as obviously one of the best moments in franchise history. The Joe no-hitter in 2021, that happened right out of COVID. Fans were just starting to get back in the stands. There were really no fans today in Washington, by the way, so it doesn't really matter. But, 2021, we're getting right out of COVID. You only could have a certain amount of fans in the stands. You couldn't have anybody really fully travel with the team. There were still restrictions in place. And that was an amazing moment. That moment, it's going to be hard to top unless they win the World Series, obviously. But this no-hitter here, you're back in the thick of things. Everybody's there. Everything's back to normal, right? Broadcasters are there. It was something that kind of came out of nowhere if you're just thinking about it, but it also didn't, because Dylan Cease has been amazing of late for the Padres. Some of these numbers that Dylan Cease has over his last 3 starts, Brent, this is the pitcher that they traded for. This is the guy that they wanted for not only the entire season, which they're not going to get, but they could get him for the stretch run here, and that is all they need. I said the other day that I thought Dylan Cease was one of the most important Padres players in the second half, and if he's pitching like this, you can bet your ass that this team is in good shape going down the stretch here. But listen to these numbers for Dylan Cease over his last 3 starts. Versus Atlanta, the game before the All-Star break, he went 6 innings, allowed 1 hit, 11 strikeouts. Cleveland, last Saturday night, 7 innings, 1 hit, 10 strikeouts. And then today, he throws the no-hitter, 9 strikeouts. So that is 30 strikeouts over a span of 3 starts, and you allowed 2 hits. Sarah Langs, she's amazing. She tweeted out this: Dylan Cease is the first pitcher since at least 1901 to go 6+ innings and allow 0 or 1 hits in 3 straight outings. He allowed 1 hit in each of his first 2. Today, obviously 0, but he's been fantastic. It was a brilliant start from Dylan Cease. You could see the first person out there, it seemed like, was Joe Musgrove. Joe has company now, which it's nice because we see a lot of the Joe Musgrove no-hitter stuff. And now Dylan Cease joins that company with Joe. And we had a wrap-up show earlier. There's a lot of no-hitters in baseball. The perfect game is becoming like extremely hard to get. The no-hitters are they're still special. I think it's special if you have one singular pitcher do the entire game. The combined no-hitters I hate. I don't even really count those. Those are, to me, I'm with Marty. Those don't mean much to me.
I count them. It's
like they count, but they're just like, okay. Like, I'm not going to spend the entire show on a combined no-hitter like I am today with Dylan Cease. But the like really cool thing is the 2 guys that have had pitched no-hitters now in franchise history aren't some randos, aren't some guy that you've never heard of. Like, remember last year in Arizona, I already forget his name. He pitched the no-hitter against the Padres, and it was like his first career start. And then, or was it last year? I don't remember.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah. 2 years ago, some rando got called up for the Diamondbacks, pitched a no-hitter, and you've never heard from him again. Like, I don't even remember the dude's name. But with the Padres, you got 2 guys now, Joe Musgrove and Dylan Cease, that are like frontline starters, all-stars. You got Dylan Cease, who, to me, has Cy Young stuff. I've said that the second he got traded over here. Like, you replaced Blake Snell, a Cy Young Award winner, with another guy that could easily win a Cy Young. I'm not saying Joe could never win a Cy Young, but Dylan Cease and Joe Musgrove, those are 2 frontline guys, and those are the 2 guys that have the no-hitters in your franchise history. I think that's pretty cool to have it be like big name guys instead of just like the random guy out of nowhere. Like, if Adam Major pitched a no-hitter tomorrow, yeah, it'd be awesome. But down the line, is it going to be something like, dude, Adam Major, like, yeah, you'll celebrate it, but I think it's cooler that it's Dylan Cease and Joe Musgrove now that have the no-hitters in franchise history.
I kind of chuckled when it happened just because, if you go back a couple months ago, you and John were both getting into it with people on the text line because you said that, oh, well, Dylan Cease, he could be one of our aces, or he could be our ace with you and everyone down. It's like, oh God, he can't be an ace. He had a 5 ERA 2 years ago.
Yeah, how's that looking for you right now?
Like, I kind of chuckled. It's just like, yeah, I wonder if some of those people are gonna be like, oh, okay, he could maybe be the ace now that he threw the second no-hitter in team history.
That's the thing, is when they traded for Dylan Cease in the middle of spring training, I understand last year his ERA wasn't good. I understand it was in the mid-4s, but he was also on the worst team in baseball. The previous year, he had a 2.2 ERA, probably should have won the Cy Young. And you have, I think, 4 straight years now, including this year, where he's been a workhorse. And you take out last year, he's been a damn good pitcher. So I never understood when Dylan Cease got traded here. Like you said, Brent, the people out there that said, well, he's not an ace. Look at his year last year. And they were kind of probably, thumping their chest and sticking their chest out a little bit when Dylan Cease was going through his rough patch this year. Like, see, I told you so. He sucks. But here's the thing. Like, his stuff is that good. It's hard to envision a guy like that putting a like horrible year together without having brilliant stretches in there in between. And if he puts it together, you get 2022, which is a year he finished second in the Cy Young. He had a 2.2 ERA. He is the front line starter that this team needed in the offseason after losing Blake Snell. They got him. He has performed like a frontline starter, albeit there was a chunk in there. Okay, I get it, where he was not good, but he has found it. His last 3 starts, he's been basically unhittable. And going into the second half, you have a really damn good 1, 2, 3. Dylan Cease, Michael King, Matt Waldron. That right there is a 1, 2, 3 that I am perfectly good with going forward. Like, I feel very good saying, hey, Dylan Cease, Michael King, Matt Waldron in a series, sure. Yeah, who do you got? We'll match up those 3 guys versus anybody. That's how well those 3 guys are pitching right now. And when you look at it with the trade deadline right around the corner, you know, we've talked a lot about Garrett Crochet, and we'll talk about Garrett Crochet coming up in the show. There's interesting reports on Garrett Crochet that we will get to from Jon Heyman. They don't need like a frontline starter right now. Yes, it would be great. Yes, of course you take it. But by getting a frontline starter, that would mean, hey, these prospects that we love, DeVries and Salas, goodbye. And I view it as you need pitching to get to the postseason. And then once you get there, your top 3 that I just talked about, I'll go up against anybody in any series with those 3 guys. And if you have a competent, good 4, then you feel good. 2022, look what the Padres had. They had 3 legit guys. They just didn't have a competent 4th. And that's what did them in. You had 2022 Dylan Musgrove, Darvish, Snell, and it got them to the NLCS because in a short series, you don't need more than 3 pitchers. But once you get to a 7-game series, that's when the 4th pitcher comes into play, and the Padres didn't have a 4th pitcher back then. You know, Clevenger and Manaea, like. But you look at this now, you go out and get a 4th starter. You go get a guy that you can plug in the 4th starter. And if it's Jack Flaherty or Kikuchi, or you bring back Nick Martinez, or I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be somebody. Like, they're going to go out and get somebody. The rotation to me feels pretty solid. I mean, I know the injuries are there, but they're not rearing their ugly heads. They're really not. And I think it's a pretty good thing here that you have these 3 guys that are all performing like this to make things easier for you when you make decisions. Like tomorrow, they're pitching Adam Major, and I bet you if they didn't win 5 straight here on the road, you're not pitching Adam Major tomorrow, or maybe you are. I don't know. But you can do that. You have a little leeway here with what you've done on this road trip. You've had a fantastic road trip. And today, the Dylan Cease no-hitter, I mean, it was a beautiful thing to watch. It really was. And he has now etched his name in Padres history. 70470, start your message with team. Where do you rank this no-hitter for Padres history? There's a lot of things that has happened with the Padres over their time, but like this no-hitter, I know it's probably recency bias, of course. Where do you put this no-hitter? Do you think it's better than Joe's? I personally don't, but if you do, that's fine. There's a lot of moments, and over the last couple of years, this team has accumulated a lot of them. So Dylan Cease throws his first ever no-hitter, second in franchise history. We'll hear from Mike Shildt post-game coming up next. Also, we have an update on Garrett Crochet. Interesting there. We have the wrap. We also have a giveaway for you. But stay tuned. Mike Shildt on Dylan Cease's no-hitter coming up next on Jon and Jim.
All
Listen,
I'm going to say is I'm going to give you a line from Shaun of the Dead. It's on random.
on random.
On
It's on,
random.
actually, I kind of prefer that. Just screw it. Just put it on random. Don't try to decide. Let it decide it for you. Back here on Jon and Jim. Of course, Jon is off today. The one day that he's off, the Padres throw a no-hitter. Dylan Cease, his first career no-hitter, second no-hitter in franchise history. Keep up with San Diego Sports 760 anytime, anywhere, whether you're stepping out of your car or settling in at home. Just ask your Google or Alexa smart speaker to play AM 760 or stream it live through the iHeartRadio app. It's never been easier to stay connected with your favorite shows like this one. Brent, San Diego Sports 760 goes where you go. All right, so there was a point in today's game where when was it? Yeah, after the seventh inning, it looked like Mike Schilt was going to take out Dylan Cease. And I was ready to lose my mind. At that point in time, I want to say he had around 86 pitches, 88 pitches. I don't know exactly. I know he finished with 114, and he gave Cease a handshake. It looked like he said, "Good job." And Adrian Morejon was warming up in the bullpen. And I'm thinking to myself, if you yank out Dylan Cease here, I'm going to lose my mind. Like, I've already had issues with like post-game stuff that Mike Schilt has said, right? But I've never really had an issue with like his in-game stuff to that level. Like, is he corny? Yeah. Can he kind of like come off as like a little bit weird? Yeah. But that's like baseball. It's whatever. And if they win, like I said, it doesn't matter what he does post-game. I don't care if he hypes his players up. And like, it doesn't matter as long as you win. But this moment, I was ready to lose it. And thankfully, it sounds like not only did Ruben Niebla step in, but Joe Musgrove stepped in as well and got Schilt to change his mind and let Dylan Cease go back out there. Thank God that happened, Brent, because I did not want to come in today and talk about it. One, like, yes, the win is the most important thing. I understand that. But I did not want to talk about Mike Schilt potentially yanking Dylan Cease and, missing out on a chance for a no-hitter.
Schilte earned major brownie points today with me.
Okay.
Because if you even go back, like our last 3 previous managers, no way in hell
You think not?
they would have left him. No. They've, battled. I'm having a...
Oh, Jay Stingler?
Yeah. He had a situation like that a couple times. Yeah, no, it's sad. That's the only thing I can remember on him.
Battled. Yeah.
He had a couple situations where, it was somewhat similar. And it's just like, oh no, you're at 80 pitches, you're out. And it's just like, dude, come on, kind of look at the situation here and base it on that. Don't just go, okay, yeah, when you get to 80, I don't care if you got a perfect game going, we're going to yank you. And it's just like, no, because we used to rip on him about how, hey, can we just let a starter, throw more than, 80 pitches for once? Well, and now we got a no-hitter with, what was it, 112, 114, something like that?
114.
So, yeah, he earned major brownie points for just letting him stay out there, not sticking with the Padres manager stereotype the last, few managers. Because, like I said, there's no way in hell they would have left him in if it was, Tingler or any of the other ones.
It could have gone either way, but thankfully, he was talked into keeping him out there, and it was the right decision, no matter what. I did not want to talk about the pros and cons of that situation if he took out Dylan Cease today. No, Dylan Cease is not a rookie. Dylan Cease is not a guy that is on a pitch limit. He's not on an innings limit. He's a workhorse, and you let him go out there and you let him finish the job. I'm a little like, why was that conversation even had? But still, I'm glad that the outcome was what it was, which was Dylan Cease is staying in that game. Dylan Cease is going back out there, and he is staying out there until he either gives up a hit or something crazy happens where his pitch counts at like 130 or 140, then you got to step in and then you got to make a move.
I don't have a problem with him going out there and just talking to him if it's just one of those. So how you feel? You still think he got it? Obviously he's going to be like, oh yeah, I feel great. He's got a no hitter going, but at least just going out there and just kind of gauging it and just kind of, okay, so you're good. Okay, you're good. Okay,
I do
we're
think
sticking with you.
I do think the
I'm gonna come out here, talk to you for a couple minutes, give you a breather, and then we're gonna go right back at it.
In our chat right now, it makes a good point on YouTube. Like if the guy's shoving and has sub 100 pitches and you're in the 8th inning, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, he's set up to go.
Yeah, like you're sub 100 pitches going into the 8th inning, you're set up for what you're trying to accomplish, which is a no-hitter. So thankfully, Mike Schulte left Dylan Cease out there. We'll hear from Mike Schulte coming up next. Schulte on Dylan Cease's no-hitter. You're listening to Jon and Jim. All right, this update is brought to you by Padres. They finished off the sweep today of the Washington Nationals. Big news, though. Dylan Cease threw his first career no-hitter, second in franchise history, striking out 9 batters in the shutout and the no-hitter. Padres are now 5-1 on this 9-game road trip. They'll start their final series in Baltimore on the Orioles. Attention, California drivers, the kids of Caltrans workers count on you to keep their loved ones safe. So when you see a highway work zone, please slow down and pay attention. Remember, that's someone's loved one out there. Be work zone alert. All right, so Dylan threw a no-hitter. John soft. And
So is Cubs, apparently.
and the Padres are playing some of the best baseball right now of the season. Sky is blue, water's wet. The roller coaster, honestly, Brent, of this season has been kind of incredible because listen to this, since May 26th, so you got 2 months now. We're on 2 months of this. Okay. This has been the Padres record since May 26th. They have gone 5-1, followed by 0-5, followed by 5-1, followed by 0-5, followed by 12-3, followed by 1-7, followed by now 5-0.
So we know what the next episode is going to be.
Listen to this again. Since May 26th, 2 months of the season. All right. This has been the Padres record in like spurts. 5-1, 0-5, 5-1, 0-5, 12-3, 1-7, 5-0. And we are here today as the Padres sit 55-50. That is incredible. And also kind of crazy how what we watch every day and what we talk about every day is backed up by their actual record. And we're like, oh, we're not crazy. This is a roller coaster. Mike Schilt tries to tell us it's not a roller coaster, but it is a roller coaster. Okay. We get it now.
Well, yeah, if this was on like a line chart or something like that, it's just going to be up, down,
up and down, and up and down, and up and down.
It would be the definition of a roller coaster.
And like,
Schilt doesn't like that word.
And
words.
This is example A, B, and C of why it's very hard for me to fully trust this team until potentially September 1st. And if they're 9 or 10 games over, then I feel pretty good going into the final month of the year, hopefully, as they make a run for the postseason. All right, Mike Schilt talked postgame after the Dylan Cease no-hitter. This is what he had to say.
Mike, just tell us about your view and how you kind of rode that at the last few innings there.
I mean, it was a magnificent performance. A lot of variables to it. I mean, the start of the game was interesting enough where he doesn't, he gets hot and takes the mound, and that's an hour and I believe it's 15 minute rain delay. And so then he goes back out and navigates through the first inning and comes in. He's like, I'm not quite there. Second inning, getting there. And then third inning, he just hit his stride. And, from my seat, candidly, there was a back and forth after the 7th with him in a very healthy way. Because in my mind, he's at 94 pitches. I'm factoring in the beginning of the game, looking to the long view of the season. But immediately he was convicted, like, I'm going back out. I'm like, no, I'm going back out. I'm like, and he comes in. I'm like, I think that's good today. That's good, and I've only had one other guy ever talk me out of it. And I just love the conviction. I think it's important in my chair to be able to be open-minded and listen to your athletes. He felt good. He felt convicted. He made a really strong case. I mean, look, I wanted to go back out too, but again, look at the big picture and the factor before. But once I cleared that with him, he was good. He's going to get an extra day before he faces the next opponent. And, at that point we were committed to it and had somebody to back him up in case somebody had gotten a hit. But to his credit, he went back out straight attack mode, and defense made their plays. And but that was a magnificent, obviously historical day for Dylan Cease.
Just to be sure, he did the 9 pitches in the 8th. Was that important to you?
Yes.
Was there a point?
That was huge. I mean, I didn't have a number in mind necessarily, but it wasn't going to get in the high 20s or 30s or anything like that. It's a slippery slope. But the other thing about it is, as you would expect a no-hitter, not a ton of stress. So that part you could justify. He did have a little bit of quicker innings in between, but he's a really, well-conditioned athlete and takes care of himself, so that wasn't an issue for him. But no, his efficient eighth set him up for the ninth.
Was there any conversation between the eighth and the ninth?
No conversation at that point.
Okay, so a couple things there. It does sound like Schilt was pretty set on taking him out. But again, credit to him, credit to Ruben Niebla for making that decision. And it was the right decision. You know, again, we in a alternate universe, in the multiverse, you know, maybe the decision backfires. But today, Mike Schilt was, you know, proven right by keeping him in, and Dylan Cease was proven right by making a case to have him be kept in the game. So all in all, like it all worked out. Like you said, Brent, good on Schilt, brownie points. Like him saying there's been only one other guy that has talked him out of taking a pitcher out of the game in his career as a manager. Like to have the second guy today be Dylan Cease, like that's pretty cool. And it's got to feel good for Schilt to sit there and be like, okay, I was going to take him out, and it was, in my mind, risky to keep him in there, but it paid off. And he looks like a genius for keeping him in there.
I like too that he pretty much said that he had his ceiling set at, you know, well, we weren't going to let him, you know, get up about, you know,
130, 140. Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, that's good, because you shouldn't let him get anywhere near that.
No.
We don't want a Mark Pryor situation to happen here.
Yeah.
So, you know, but at least he recognized, you know, the moment, and is just like,
well, everybody knew at the moment was,
you know, as long as we keep this, you know, within reason, you know, we're not going to let you go, you know, 125, 130 pitches. As long as, you know, you can get this done within reason, we're going to do everything we can to, you know, let you try and do it.
And to have that quick eighth inning, like Schilt said, was everything. Because if you have a long eighth, that decision about the ninth, oh my gosh. Now, it would have been justified, I think, in Schilt's mind, if, say, Dylan Cease had a long eighth, like a 25 pitch eighth, and he still had the no-hitter intact going to the ninth. Well, it wasn't a 9-0 game. It was a 3-0 game. And so I pretty much guarantee he would have taken Cease out and put in Robert Suarez there for the ninth, because it was a three-run game. It was a save situation. And like he said there, he wasn't going to let it get out of hand. But thank goodness it happened the way it did, because again, I was watching that, thinking to myself in real time when he was talking to Cease, like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go in today and I'm going to rip Schilt, like, because I was borderline in that moment. Like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Thankfully he didn't do it. Thankfully he got talked out of it. And thankfully Dylan Cease proved him right and got the no-hitter. And we don't have to ever talk about that ever again, besides right now.
Were you worried when Abrams made contact on that last out?
Yes. So here's the thing.
The first two, I wasn't worried because it wasn't very solid contact, so it looked like they're just going to be little dribblers. But yeah, that last one, until they cut away to him catching the ball, I was like, oh God, it's gone.
So a couple things. Defensively in this game, there wasn't many crazy defensive plays besides in the fifth inning, which was kind of a play that you never see, honestly, where Bogarts tries to make the play over his shoulder, the ball bounces out of his glove, and it bounces right into Jackson Merrill's glove. I do think if Bogarts did not make that catch, I think that would have been ruled an error, because he got all glove on that ball. It wasn't a routine play, but still, I don't know how you could rule that a hit, because it was a lazy pop-up to shallow center field. Then in the eighth inning, there was a play that if Xander doesn't make that, it would have been all eyes on the official score of that game, because you could have gone either way. Ball gets hit to Xander's left. Xander dives for it, kind of bobbles a little bit, makes a tough play to first, just gets the out. I think Ruiz was running, so it wasn't a fast runner, thankfully. But those are the only two tough defensive plays in this game. And then at the very end, Brent, the final out with Abrams, I honestly, just by the sound of Don's voice and now hearing it again, he was gearing up for his final call because he knew it was right at Bryce Johnson. But I, off the bat, thought that was like in the corner. I'm like, dude, that's in the corner. Oh my God, it's in the corner. But in the end, it was just a lazy fly ball to Bryce Johnson, can of corn. And I mean, if I'm Bryce Johnson, he makes the most nonchalant final out of a no-hitter catch that you'll ever see.
Well, that's the other funny thing too is, we've had people on the text line and in YouTube chat and everything kind of ripping on Johnson about how, oh God, it's a bad sign that he's even in the lineup and everything. And who makes the final out? The guy who they've pretty much,
Abrams,
no, not Abrams, but
Bryce Johnson. Yeah.
Bryce Johnson makes the catch when everyone's like, oh God, he's one of those guys that he shouldn't even be up here.
Right. I know. It wasn't a big stressful game, like Schultz said. He's right about that. There wasn't a lot of stress. I know he had 3 walks. Runner did get to second base, but from a pitching standpoint, it wasn't a stressful outing, to be honest with you.
The moment that stressed me out the most, and it had nothing to do with the game, was all of a sudden going into the 9th, I get a push notification from my phone from Apple TV that says, Dylan Cease has a perfect game or has a no-hitter going into the 9th. Will he keep it?
Do you think that was like a potential jinx right there?
Sometimes it is, because I've gotten those pushes before for, games like that. And it's like, oh, really? I got to turn that on. And then as soon as I turn it on, it's like 2 pitches later. It's like, oh, little dribbler up the middle. It's over. So, yeah, I was just like, oh, God. Yeah, it's like, now here it comes. It's like they just mention it now.
I'm okay.
It's over.
I mean, there's a lot of things that you can consider jinxes, and I think Don did it right. I mean, after the 6th inning, it was a lot of like Dylan Cease has not allowed to hit through X innings,
and he's almost done it, but they don't refer to what he's doing. Yeah, for me, it's just one of those things to where I don't really believe in the jinx. It's just so many times that I'll get that thing on my phone and go, hey, so-and-so has a no-hitter going against the Guardians. And he'll be like, oh, cool. I'm going to turn that on real quick. Right. And then you'll turn it on and like 30 seconds into it, it's like, it's over. It's like, well, that was worth turning it on. It's like, I probably should not turn it on. He probably would have got the no-hitter.
All right, coming up next, the latest on Garrett Crochet and trade rumors around baseball. And of course, more on the Dylan Cease no-hitter of the day. Listening to Jon and Jim. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. Jon is off today. He had like gum surgery or whatever. He missed, one of the biggest days in Padres franchise history with Dylan Cease throwing a no-hitter, but no big deal. Other than that, it's fine. Oh, that smells. We did have a impromptu emergency wrap-up this morning. He sounded fine. But I get it. 3 hours has been a lot. His little baby gums would be hurting himself. But he'll be back tomorrow. So we can react to the Dylan Cease no-hitter then on Jon and Jim. Padres will be in Baltimore tomorrow to finish up their 9-game road trip. And Brent, you couldn't have asked for anything better to start probably, I think, by just like definition and just looking at the schedule, their toughest road trip of the season, coming out of the All-Star break for a 9-game roadie through Cleveland, Washington, and Baltimore. You go to 2 cities where they're 2 of the best teams in the American League in Cleveland and Baltimore. You have absolutely owned the Nationals in every way, shape, and form this season. Just real quick before I continue. Man, if I'm the Nationals, like I am fully 100% like embarrassed by how bad I got my ass kicked this year by the Padres. Every single game, the Padres, besides that like walk-off, it wasn't even close. The walk-off on that Tuesday night with Jurickson Profar, and which started the whole like beef between the teams or whatever on that next day. The Padres have had their absolute way with the Nationals, and to have the Nationals talk all that, talk after the game with the Jurickson Profar and the celebration, to then go out and then in the next 4 games get absolutely embarrassed in every facet of the game, pitching, defense, everything.
They brought that on themselves.
That to me, my gosh,
they could have just, took their beating and just not said anything and nobody would have noticed, but they had to run their mouths and make something out of nothing with the whole, he was celebrating and he looked at the dugout. Well, there's fans behind your dugout, maybe he was looking at them. Oh no, of course he wasn't. He was looking at us.
Dude, it's
just like, if you didn't make a big deal out of it, people would have made a big deal out of, Profar looking like Reggie Jackson in October against you guys, to where it's like, it just would have been, Nationals lost again. Like you said, water's wet, sky's blue. Let's move on. But you had to run your mouth and, just make a big deal out of it. And now it just made it stick out to where, hey, you remember when they ran their mouth and then they just got crushed?
Like, seriously, like you get walked off on that Tuesday night. Jurickson Profar celebrates. You bitch and cry about it. And then everything that transpires the next day where Keibert Ruiz tries to be Mr. Tough Guy in Jurickson Profar's face, it completely backfires with you then hitting Jurickson Profar and Manny Machado saying F you the very next pitch. You get your ass kicked that game. Profar has a grand slam. To then it being capped off with you getting no hit 3 games later at your own park. Nonetheless, like that has to be, for a team, one of the most embarrassing like season matchups, season series like I've seen in a long time.
It's definitely the low point for the Nationals season, and that's saying something.
Well, the Padres have now made the Nationals fully sellers at the deadline because they went 0-6 versus the Padres this year, and they got embarrassed doing it, by the way. Like, just pie on your face. You have to walk back to the dugout with the tail between your legs. You are getting pointed at. Like, you're getting laughed at because of how embarrassed you got this year by the Padres. And because of that, you're now out of the race. I mean, without playing the Padres this year, Brent, they're 47-50. They're 47-56 overall. The Padres said, yeah, your season's over. It's done. And I just can't think of a more embarrassing type of series for a team than what I witnessed and what we all witnessed this year with the Padres and the Nationals, with everything that transpired. Like, I'm sure that you can go through the history of baseball and see, season series where teams get swept and the games are lopsided, but this, you have to have more context to it. And when you add the context to it, it makes it that much more embarrassing. That's, man, if I'm a Nationals fan, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I am very sorry. That was bad. Please don't do that please don't do that to us again.
If I'm a Nationals fan, it's like, well, at least they gave us CJ Abrams and, the other guy.
James Wood.
Yeah, James Wood.
And Mackenzie Gore.
I always want to call him James Woods, but that's the actor.
That's the other guy. But yeah, the Padres have a chance now to have one of their best road trips in franchise history of this length.
Well, they'll never have more momentum than they have now.
Well, that's what we said that's what we said after their walk-off that Friday night versus Arizona.
True. And if the graph has shown us anything,
something's coming, it feels like. But hopefully it doesn't, because enough of this. Like, I'm done. It's been 2 months now, officially, tomorrow, of the roller coaster that is the Padres 2024 baseball season. And I'd be cool if, like, they just stopped that, like, hey, how about instead of after you have won 5 in a row, immediately losing 5 in a row, why don't you just continue to play good baseball? Why don't you continue to have like 7-3 stretches instead of like, we won 7 out of 8. Oh, we just lost 7 of 8. Like, can you please stabilize? That'd be cool.
It's the old take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
That's been the Padres season for the last 2 months officially.
Win 5 games, lose 6 games.
They have been the 1 step forward, 1 step back baseball team. That's just who they are. All right, coming up next, we have the wrap, also giveaway next hour. So stay tuned for that. More on the Dylan Cease no-hitter and the trade deadline coming up next on Jon and Jim. All right, this update is brought to you by Caltrans. Padres game today. Nothing much, just a no-hitter by Dylan Cease. The Padres sweep the Nationals, and they go 6-0 versus the Nationals this season. Padres are now 5 games over 500. They're 5-1 on their 9-game road trip. They are headed to Baltimore on a bus right now to start a 3-game series with the Orioles starting tomorrow night. Adam Major will make the start tomorrow night as Michael King has been pushed back to the weekend. Attention, California drivers, the kids of Caltrans workers count on you to keep their loved ones safe. So when you see a highway work zone, please slow down and pay attention. Remember that someone's loved one out there. Be work zone alert.
Jon and Jim. Joe, you have company.
No hits for the Nats. Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter. The second no-hitter in Padres history.
Dylan Cease fires the second no-hitter in Padres history, blanking the Nationals 3-0 out in D.C. Full reaction and analysis all day. Now, it's time for Jon and Jim.
All right, Jon and Jim on a Thursday. Again, no big deal. Dylan Cease just threw a no-hitter today. It's fine. It's whatever. Padres got the sweep over the Nationals. They went 6-0 versus the Nationals this year, and they're 5-1 on this road trip to start the second half. But other than that, everything's great. Everything is great. Actually, it really is great for this Padres team right now. You just hope that they continue this and they don't trip up. They go to Baltimore tomorrow night. Adam Major will be on the mound for the Padres. That, to me, kind of easy decision, I think, right now, Brent, just because, it's one start. They need they weren't going to go bullpen day, even though they could have gone bullpen day, by the way, with Dylan Cease going 9 today, obviously the no-hitter. And then Monday, they didn't had an off day, and they've been, the bullpen has not been taxed much on this road trip. So you could have gone bullpen day tomorrow, but they choose Adam Major instead. Probably Adam Major's last start of the season, because by his next start, there will be a new pitcher here, presumably, that the Padres will be traded for.
In a way, they're kind of lucky that they didn't end up having to do a bullpen day today, just with the rain delay. Could you imagine if they would have got through that first and then just had to sit and kind of
You're
like
right.
what happened with Corbin. And
if this thing honestly went to the bottom half, or no, it did go to if the rain delay,
if it would have been
lasted,
like another 20 minutes to half an hour.
Yeah, if it lasted and if it went to the bottom half of the first, which it didn't, thankfully, who knows what they do with Dylan Cease? Like, if he goes out there and he throws 20 pitches in the first inning, and they have an hour rain delay,
he's not coming back out.
He's probably not coming back out. Patrick Corbin came back out, and he actually pitched pretty well. He's ironically his 2 best starts of the season has been against the Padres. Interesting, but Padres won. Again, that's I digress. If that thing got to the bottom of the first inning and then the rain delay happens, we don't probably see a no-hitter today. We probably don't, just because how long how long the rain delay was. It was like an hour and 20 minutes or so, because the game started at like 9:10. It lasted like literally 5 minutes before it went to the rain delay.
Yeah,
and it didn't get going back until 10:30 our time.
I was out getting groceries and stuff when the game started, and they're like, "Oh, it's raining." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's odd." And then I came home and I went to go get my oil changed, and pretty much I was waiting in line to get my oil changed the whole time while they were in delay. And then it's like, "Oh, they finally started again."
Yeah, East Coast rain weather is just completely random. But again, glad they got the game in. Got the no-hitter from Dylan Cease. It was an amazing moment for him, for this franchise. And now they're off to Baltimore, where they'll take on the first place Orioles, who, by the way, the Orioles, Brent, they haven't been playing all that well of late. They did avoid a sweep today against the Marlins, but they had to do it in extra innings. So maybe you're catching these teams at the right time. Like, that's how kind of sports works. Is like, can you catch a team at the right time, or are you going to catch the team at a bad time? Is the team hot? Is the team cold? But, what's in front of them right now on this road trip to finish this off, man, you could, this is potentially season defining here. If they can take a series from Baltimore and you go 7-2 on a 9-game roadie out of the break.
I'd almost feel better if the teams that are playing were on fire, because whenever it's like, oh, I'll just throw Baltimore out there because they're next. Oh, Baltimore, they've been struggling. We caught them just at the right time, and then that's when we'll go in there and drop 2 out of 3 and score 2 runs the entire series. But if we would play Baltimore when they've won 12 out of 13 or something like that, or like how many times this year have we had to go into Atlanta, or at the time when he went in there, the Cubs, when they like had the best home record in all of baseball, and then would go in there and just sweep them when we didn't think that we would be able to go in there and do that.
Well, if you look at the Orioles right now, before the break, they lost 5 in a row before taking a game against the Yankees right before the All-Star break. And to start the second half here, they avoid the sweep in Miami against the Marlins, who were one of the worst teams in baseball. And they're not playing particularly well. So, yeah, I mean, the Padres are hot right now, and the Orioles are kind of so-so. So we'll see how that goes. All right, Brent, let's get to it.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Was this no-hitter by Dylan Cease a top 10 moment in Padres franchise history?
All right, so you got the 2 pennant-winning teams. You got Tony's 3,000th. You got Trevor's 500th save. You got Musgrove's no-hitter.
So yes, it has to be.
Yeah. I mean,
Garvey's home run, maybe.
Well, I'm putting that in there with like the World Series teams. Like, yeah, it's probably a top 10 moment in franchise history, because I just named off of the ones I could think of that are like monumental.
Well, and the fact that there's only 2 no-hitters in the entire
right.
Franchise.
If you want to put
history.
a cycle in there, if you want to put Will Meyer's cycle, first cycle in franchise history, go for it. But it's not better than any no-hitter.
No.
It's top 10. It's not the best moment in franchise history. It's still an amazing moment. But yeah, you have the 2 pennant winning teams, the Garvey home run, obviously 84, and then you have Tony's 3,000th, Trevor. Yeah, top 10 for sure. It's a top 10 moment for me. If I'm missing something, 70470, start your message with team. I'm just trying to think like big picture here, like ones that stand out right away.
Caminiti MVP.
Yeah, but like I'm thinking of like moments,
just moments,
like individual moments. If you want to go the Caminiti like amazing defensive play in that season, you could, but yeah, for moments, like singular moments instead of just like seasons overall, the Dylan Cease no-hitter, slide that into a top 10 moment in Padres franchise history, I think, for sure. I mean, knowing this organization and how well they are with their marketing, you can probably bet there will be a lot of Dylan Cease no-hitter merch and bobbleheads coming here in the near future.
Dude, they're probably already tracing the outline for his mural somewhere downtown.
Somewhere. There's probably...
Alfaro had one like within 12 hours of hitting a walk-off, so that second no-hitter, he should have one up there.
Yeah. Next question, Brent.
Speaking of that, which no-hitter was better, Musgrove's or Cease?
To me, it's Joe Musgrove.
It's the first.
It's the first one. Ironically, both pitchers threw 114 pitches. Interesting. But I would choose Joe over Dylan. Just because, it's his first. It's the team's first.
He's the hometown guy.
Yeah. So trying to look up like his stat line in that game.
Well, he had no hits.
I know he had no hits, Brent. I know he went 9 innings.
He had at least one walk.
I know he had at least one walk because it wasn't a perfect game. I can't find it. Can you name the catcher that caught that game for Joe Musgrove? Anybody? Victor Caratini. So Victor Caratini and Luis Campusano are now in Padres history as the 2 catchers to catch a no-hitter in franchise history. So, yeah, Joe is number 1 to me, Dylan Cease. But, man, It's a pretty good list of Joe and Dylan Cease to have for no-hitters. Pretty damn good. Now, if it was at home, it would have been better, but you can't pick and choose these things.
That's the thing that we're getting spoiled already with our two
Should've been at
no-hitters
home.
to where, it was good and everything, but, we just could have had it at home. It's just, just take it wherever
It was
we
at
get
home on a Saturday night versus the Dodgers. No, it's you don't pick and choose. Just like you don't say, man, I want the Padres to win a World Series at home in Game 7. Like, no, they can win a World Series in like Tampa. You take it. All right, Brent, next question.
Will Garrett Crochet still get traded with his contract demands?
So we'll get into more of this later in the show. And I know we're going to talk about it in the first hour, but obviously Dylan Cease, no hitter, duh. There was a report today from Jon Heyman that said if Garrett Crochet is traded, his camp has said that he will not pitch in the postseason unless he has a contract extension with that team that traded for him.
And he will also not go in the bullpen.
Correct. To me, if I'm a team looking at Garrett Crochet, that would be a massive, massive red flag for me. And I would get as far away as I possibly could from Garrett Crochet. So with the report that came out today from him, I do think the odds of him being traded did go down today. I think they have. And if I'm a team trying to trade for Garrett Crochet, I'm using that to my advantage. I am not going to give you everything you want because I need to now give him a contract extension in order for him to pitch in the postseason. Like, excuse me, no, you're not getting all of our top prospects. That's not happening. So if I was a team, no, I would not trade for Garrett Crochet for those reasons. Final question, Brent.
Could Dylan Cease win a Cy Young this year?
Like, I know that's a crazy question, honestly, but if he continues to pitch like this, Brent, who says no? Like, I'll look up right now, okay, in the National League. I'm probably sure I'm going to get blown away. And you look at the pitching in the National League, all right? Right now, Dylan Cease leads the league in strikeouts by a pretty good margin, okay? Zach Wheeler, Chris Sale, Imanaga, Suarez, and then Ronaldo Lopez of the Braves. Those are all pitchers right now in Cy Young contention. But Dylan Cease ain't that far behind. I know he's got a little bit of a high ERA, it's 3.5. He can get that sucker down in the twos for sure if he keeps pitching like this. And I just don't see right now like a Ronaldo Lopez, even though he leads the league in ERA at 2.12, being like a guy that's like, that's the Cy Young. His numbers are good. They don't blow me away. His innings, 100 innings pitched. Strikeouts, 100 strikeouts. Whips, 1.19. That's not like out of this world numbers. Now I'd have to dive deeper into that to see like what are his like batting average against and all that stuff, right? But I know his ERA right now is the one that sticks out. 2.12. That's very good. But other than that, Zach Wheeler's at 2.55, Chris Sale's at 2.7, and Managa's 2.86, Ranger Suarez 2.87. You have Max Fried 3.08. Mike and Dylan Cease 3.5 ERA. He gets that down in the twos, Brent. He'll lead the league in strikeouts. His whip's under 1. He gets to like maybe 15 wins because he got his 10th win today with the no-hitter. Dude, I'm telling you, he's got 131 innings pitched. It's not out of the realm of possibility for Dylan Cease to enter the Cy Young conversation.
The other thing I want to bring up real quick before we go to break that I just remembered, it's kind of ironic that 2 years ago, Cease had a no-hitter broken up in the 9th by Luis Ariz.
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going with this, yeah.
And now they're teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of funny how, 2 years ago, Ariz prevented him from getting a no-hitter, and then today he helped him get one.
There was an amazing moment after the game, after the no-hitter, between Dylan Cease and Luis Ariz. I'll tell you about that moment and the latest. We'll get more into Garrett Crochet and how, to me, major red flags with that potential trade right there. More about Dylan Cease's no-hitter and the amazing moments after the game. All coming up next on Jon and Jim. Sounds like a 1980s crime show.
That's what I was gonna say. Actually,
It does. It's like a knockoff 1980s crime show theme music.
it's like we could just play the PC Boys sabotage video. And it's like,
Seriously.
yeah, this works.
Oh man. Anyway.
It's on random.
News of the day, obviously, Dylan Cease, if you've been like under a rock all day long, has thrown a no-hitter, second franchise no-hitter. Joe Musgrove, Dylan Cease on that list. And the pitching has been amazing for the Padres on this road trip. I think for the last couple months has been really good, really solid. I know Dylan Cease has been up and down, but you've had really, really quality outings almost every time out from Michael King and from Matt Waldron, and Dylan Cease has now kicked it into gear. And oh, by the way, Randy Vasquez has been a very serviceable fourth starter for you as well. So with pitching obviously still being like the biggest need, with this team, the deadline's 5 days away. I don't think it's a situation where you got to go out and try to get a frontline starter. Like maybe you thought they would need to go out and get maybe, a month ago. Like we've talked a lot about Garrett Crochet on the show. Garrett Crochet is a guy that's being talked about a lot around baseball right now. The reports today is if he gets traded, one, he will not pitch in the postseason unless he has a contract extension, and he won't even be moved to the bullpen. Yo, I don't know about you, but to me, major red flag. I'm staying as far away as possible as I can from Garrett Crochet. We know because of reports that the Padres tried to trade for Garrett Crochet already. To me, I really, really hope that AJ Preller is like, yeah, thanks, no thanks. I'm not down for that. Doesn't make sense for us because if we get you, it's going to cost probably Leo DeVries and a couple other of our top prospects as well. And we're not in the business of talking about contract extension right now. We're in the business of worrying about getting to the postseason and trying to win the franchise's first World Series. I'm not going to sit here and put up with this again with a player that isn't all about the team. Not going to happen. Last year it was to an extent Blake Snell, but I can't really dog him for anything last year because he won the Cy Young, but it was an issue with Josh Hader. And look what happened. Like, it was an issue in that clubhouse for sure. I am staying as far as I possibly can away from Garrett Crochet. That's just me.
Look, you're Garrett Crochet. Okay.
You're not Max Scherzer. You're not Justin Verlander.
That's just what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You're not Steven Strasburg. You're not, Skeens. You're not anybody that
you're not even Dylan Cease
that should be in any sort of position to sit here and he's brawny. It's just like,
well, he's better than that. He's good this year. He's an all-star.
This is what I mean by that, where he's just he's making demands without having any clout to be like, oh, okay, I've earned my clout, so I can make these demands. It's just like, nope, I haven't earned my clout. I'm gonna just make these demands. It's like, nobody better draft me or I'm going to Australia. It's just like, well, if you're going to trade for me, I want a new contract and I won't go to the bullpen and, we need lasagna for Wednesday lunch every day or I won't play for you. It's just like, dude, who the hell do you think you are?
He's a very good pitcher,
but he's not that all-star.
Good. I know he's an all-star this year. This is his first year that he has blossomed, right? This is his coming out year. And again, if you are talking with the White Sox and this report comes out, no coincidence it's come out 5 days before the trade deadline, by the way. Someone leaked that. It wasn't the Crochet. I don't think it was a Crochet camp, by the way. I think it was a team trying to trade for Garrett Crochet.
That wants the number to come down.
They leaked that, and they did it because the asking price was just way too high for him. And if they're going to trade for Garrett Crochet, it's probably like a situation where we'll trade for him and we'll just like worry about that until that time comes. But at the moment, the asking price for you is way too high with your demands. So guarantee a team leaked that to John Heyman today. It wasn't the White Sox. It wasn't the Crochet camp. it was a team trying to trade for Garrett Crochet, knowing this is the whole situation going on with him for this year.
But and then on top of all that, throw in the fact that he's on a limit or an inning restriction.
Do we know that though? I don't know if we know that. See, I don't think that's come out, but I do. I think the moving to the bullpen has been discussed because this is his first year with pitching this many innings. I don't think there's been a number that's been thrown out there per se, like, oh, he's on a 150 inning limit or 140
inning limit. It's been alluded
to
a lot that he's on one, so that's why.
Because why wouldn't he be? Of course he would be, because this is his first full season as a starter in the big leagues. He was hurt 2 years ago. He pitched 12 innings last year.
And they wouldn't baby him this much if he was.
Exactly.
If he wasn't.
So, to me, if any Padres fan out there has had their sights set on a Garrett Crochet to be the big move, I'm just telling you, it's a major red flag. I would stay very, very far away from Garrett Crochet. That's just me. It's not worth it. You can get better value elsewhere with a Jack Flaherty or a Tyler Anderson or a Kikuchi or a Cal Quantrill, guys that aren't going to be problems if they come here and demand to have contract extensions.
Well, and guys that you won't have to give up Leo DeVries.
Exactly. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing here with that. All right, coming up next, more with the Dylan Cease no-hitter. We'll take a look around the National League wild card and more with the trade deadline coming up here in just about 5 days from now. More on Jon and Jim coming up next. All right, this update's brought to you by Mattress Firm. Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter today against the Washington Nationals. Padres sweep the Nationals. They sweep the season series from the Nationals. Padres are now 5-1 on this 9-game road trip. They're 5 games over 500. They start their final series on this road trip tomorrow in Baltimore. Adam Major has been announced as the starter for tomorrow's game. Michael King has been pushed back to the weekend. It's Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Save up to 60% on a wide selection of quality mattresses at every price, plus score a free adjustable base with a qualifying purchase. Hurry and stop by Mattress Firm today. I'm not kidding you, Brent. I feel like I'm in like a 70s movie with these bumpers. Yeah, I know. And you can't do anything about it because, like, literally, this is all you got. This is what they gave you.
Some of these are just like, wow, this is just stuff that handler.
Like, the one thing that's great about you, Brent, is you have like amazing Rolodex of music and references. And back in the day on Jon and Jim, we had some great bumpers. We had some amazing intro music.
Stupid copyright.
But yeah. Anyway, now we're left with 70s porn music.
I think that might be an upgrade to some of these.
Probably, yeah. So Dylan Cease is making the rounds here nationally, and this is Dylan Cease post game in the clubhouse talking with I don't know who was the
I think it was MLB or MLB TV.
I think it was
Sports Center.
Sports Center, yeah. I think he talked with Sports Center after the game in the clubhouse about his no-hitter. This is Dylan Cease after today's game.
And Dylan Cease joins us now on Sports Center. Dylan, your recent numbers are staggering. What does this no-hitter mean to you?
Man, I mean, I've come close before, and to do it, it really is remarkable and kind of hard to put into words. I'm just happy. I don't know how. I'm ecstatic.
So take us through this. After the 7th inning, you were at 94 pitches. You had a discussion with your skipper, Mike Schilt, who said he was going to take you out. What did you say to convince him to go back out there?
Yeah, I was like, man, I'm throwing 100 right now. If I have a 10-pitch inning, I'm at 105 through 8. And I've thrown 113 this year, so I was, I just tried to put together as good of an argument as I could, and then Joe and Crony were there, and I kind of had them chime in on my behalf. And fortunately, he listened to me, and the rest is history.
And making a reference to Joe Musgrove in that conversation. And you mentioned you were close. Again, you were an out away from a no-no a couple years ago when former Twin and now current teammate Luis Arraez broke it up. You threw a slider to Luis there 2 years ago. What was going through your mind when you were facing C.J. Abrams and you were that 1 out away?
Man, I think it's just empty the tank. I wanted to get my slider low because I figured it was either going to be a ball, a swing and miss, or maybe a ground ball. If you leave the slider up, you're kind of giving them a chance to get a hit on it. So I just wanted to get my slider down, and I threw it hard. And man, like I said, the rest is history. It's hard to believe. It really is.
Let's go deeper into the game. 114 pitches, all but 10 of them four-seam fastballs and sliders. That's a great old school approach. What was working for you?
Yeah, I was throwing hard. For the most part, I was putting the heater kind of where I wanted to. So able to go up, go out with it. And then, when you're throwing hard and you're hitting your spots away, you can throw sliders off of that. So, really, I was just trying to attack the zone and utilize what I had, sequence well. After every inning after the 7th, I would go in and talk with King and Joe, and we talk sequencing, and man, it worked out. It was awesome.
It has worked out. Not just today, though. I mean, 6 starts this season. You've allowed only 1 hit or less, including just 2 hits in the last 22 innings. Batters are 2 for 65 in your last 3 starts, Dylan. We haven't seen numbers like this in over a century. How would you describe this recent run for you?
Man, it's a lot of good execution, a lot of great defense, a lot of good game calling, a lot of good preparation. Ruben came with me before the start of the All-Star break with a little adjustment, and it is so far it's been working really well. But there's still a lot of games left. We still have a lot more goals, so it's something I want to keep building on and keep getting better.
Dylan, can you share that little adjustment with us?
Yeah, it was simple as I'm going to keep my glove closer to my body. So I don't know why it's kind of made my velocity uptick. It's giving me a better feel. The hitters don't seem to be picking it up better. So it's been remarkable.
Dylan, you've been outspoken that you practice mindfulness. What impact has that had when you're on the mound in one of those pressure-like situations like today?
Yeah, I think it's important, especially during big moments like that. It's very easy for your mind to start racing and telling you a million different things. So I think just staying in the present, trying to stay focused, that really helped me today. I never really felt like too tense. I almost had the mindset of like, man, it's crazy I've made it this far. If they get hit off of me, I'm going to tip my cap, but I'm going out and emptying the tank. So I didn't feel too much tension, too much pressure. I really just wanted to focus and give everything I had.
I would imagine you're the first amateur disc golf player who has thrown a no-hitter in baseball history. So thank you so much, Dylan.
Probably yes. Probably yes. I think I might be a pro technically. I don't know if I paid my $50 this year, but yeah, probably.
Well, no, you're a pro. Trust me, they better comp you after this. They better comp you. You're a pro in two sports. Dylan, thank you so much. And congrats again on the no-no.
So he's an amateur disc golf player, and I know he loves cats as well. See, like, we know about Dylan Cease, but we don't know everything about Dylan Cease. Have you ever played disc golf, Brent?
No.
It's interesting. I mean, it's fun just because like you're outside and whatnot, but it's just like frisbee. You take a frisbee and you.
Yeah, I know what it is.
There's one in Balboa next to the golf course.
We have hippies in Wisconsin too, Jim.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. See, I didn't know what it was when I came down here.
Disc golf is very big around the UW campus area with all the Birkenstock wearing hippies.
Could you imagine you go out to play disc golf at Balboa and all of a sudden you see like Dylan Cease over there like throwing a frisbee? You're like, what the hell?
You probably would. That'll be the new thing, now that you won't just randomly run into Bill Walton riding his bike and like Point Loma or something. Right. Now you just randomly run into Dylan Cease.
Dylan Cease with his disc golf. Cool. The moment today that you were talking about, or you weren't talking about, but you mentioned that Luis Arraez was the last player that broke up Dylan Cease's no-hitter a couple of years ago when he had pitched 8 2/3 no-hit innings. Then Luis Arraez broke it up, and now they're teammates. Well, there was a moment after today's game, and if you missed it, you got to go find it. It's on social media. I think I retweeted it. Go follow me at Jim Russell SD. But as they're celebrating, Dylan Cease is giving everybody hugs, right? Guess who presents Dylan Cease with the game ball? Luis Arraez. Which, I mean, that to me is like the ultimate, how could you not be romantic about baseball right there? You have the guy that broke up your no-hitter, your previous no-hit bid of 8 2/3, now be on your team. He didn't play today, but he's on your team. And you throw no hitter with him on your team, and he presents you with the game ball after the game. That to me is like, whoa, baseball's awesome. It is the game where something new always happens every day. And it's the saying of how could you not be romantic about baseball? Well, that's the moment right there where you say, wow, that's pretty awesome.
Well, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, where it's stuff like that is why I don't want Garrett Crochet on this team. We got good team chemistry going this year. I don't think we need somebody in here that's just going to, come in and start screwing that up and just be about me. And, this is just another thing that, we always kind of complain the last couple of years about, the chemistry and the, clubhouse and everything else, and about how, who's disrupting the chemistry and blah blah blah. And well, they got it going now. It's like we don't need to bring in a me guy now to just kind of disrupt the flow and everything they got going.
Yeah, the team this year compared to last year, the vibes are way better, obviously, and being only, I mean, and I say only, like 5 games over isn't the greatest thing in the world, but it has you in position. It puts you in the thick of it. They have played infinitely better baseball this year than they did last year. And the trend lines for this team are so much better than last year offensively, back into the bullpen, pitching. Like, it's night and day from last season. And you're right. I think if you brought in a me guy, and I'm not saying Crochet is a me guy, but it can be viewed as that with this type of demand that he has. I agree. And frankly, maybe we probably shouldn't even be talking about Garrett Crochet, because maybe that's a name the Padres aren't even considering at this moment with everything that's transpired over the last couple of weeks with the pitching staff being really good. They're playing much better. You don't need a frontline starter because you have that with Dylan Cease and Michael King and Matt Waldron. You kind of need that 4th or 5th guy to get you to the postseason, because once you get to the postseason, realistically, you're going to be using for at least the first 2 rounds, if you happen to make it to the wild card round, King, Waldron, Cease. You know, you're probably not going to be using, depending on how they're pitching down the stretch, the guy that you bring in here to shore up the rotation, unless it's a guy like a Jack Flaherty or something, and Jack Flaherty pitches his ass off and he becomes like a vital piece in this rotation, then there'll be tough conversations to be had. But that's so far down the road right now. The main thing is get another pitcher in here, shore up the rotation. You have a very solid rotation as it is. You know, most teams don't all have like 5 really good starters. If you have 4, then you're feeling pretty good about yourself. And the Padres have 4 that they feel pretty good about themselves with. And you're going to bring in another guy here, and it's going to make things feel even better going forward. And oh, by the way, we haven't even talked about the latest update with Joe Musgrove. The latest update with Joe Musgrove from Kevin Acee. We'll talk about that coming up next. Jon and Jim on the Thursday. Jon is out. He's soft. Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter. And good news on Joe Musgrove. So Joe Musgrove has thrown a bullpen. I believe that was yesterday. It was recent. And let me just pull this up here. Where is it? Yeah, so Joe Musgrove, he threw about 40 pitches. As Kevin Acey said, he used his full arsenal at full intensity in his bullpen session on Wednesday. Kevin says that his return is expected, quote, in the later half of August. Again, I don't know what to make it that. Bullpens are bullpens, but once you get in the game, it's completely different. You can go 100% in a bullpen, and you can go out there and one pitch, you're done.
Yeah, it's just like the simulated games. It's like I don't put a lot of stock into that.
It is completely different. Now, if you want to look on the bright side of this, and if you want me to go full positive here, wow, that would be a massive boost if Joe could come back and actually pitch like we know Joe can pitch. Coupled with whoever they bring in here at the trade deadline. I mean, imagine a rotation, Brent, just hypothetically speaking, of Dylan Cease, Matt Waldron, Michael King, Jack Flaherty, healthy Joe Musgrove. You move Randy Vasquez to the bullpen. It's pretty damn good. That's pretty good. But like I said at the beginning of the season when I talked about this rotation with Darvish and Musgrove and Cease and King and Waldron in it, I said, look, if all those guys are healthy, I put that rotation up against anybody in baseball. But as we saw, it just doesn't work like that. You know, Joe's been injured the entire season. Darvish is dealing with personal issues. We probably won't see him for the rest of this year. And things change all the time. It's hard to bank on everybody being fully healthy. It just is. That's what makes sports for me like the worst is, you know, on paper, everything looks great, but then you get into a season and then this guy goes down and this guy goes down. And you're just like, it's just that's the most frustrating part about sports is injuries. It just is. But if you are going to get Joe back and it looks like Joe's going to make a push to get back and if he's feeling healthy and he feels good after his bullpens, like why wouldn't you pitch him in late August? You bring back a healthy Joe. You also will bring in another starter at the trade deadline. You have a 1-2-3 that, frankly, I would match up with almost anybody in baseball with Cease, King, and Waldron. Now you're not feeling so worried about the pitching staff. Now you feel pretty confident about the pitching staff. Now you feel like just, hey, get in the postseason so we can see what this pitching staff can do. So we can see what our starters are made of because we feel damn good about our rotation. And then you look at the bullpen. There was an interesting trade deadline, I guess, thing that happened today. Mason Miller of the Oakland A's or Sacramento A's or whatever you want to call them A's. Thanks, John Fisher, you idiot. He went on the aisle today with a finger issue. So he's probably out of the mix of getting traded to anybody. You're not going to be trading a guy that's on the IL with a finger issue. And we already know that the Padres tried to trade for Mason Miller earlier this year because it was reported that the A's asked for Jackson Merrill. Thank God they didn't do that. I don't think Preller would have done that anyway. Why the hell would you trade a position player, highly rated prospect in Jackson Merrill for a reliever? Mason Miller is really good, but he ain't that good to be traded for Jackson Merrill. Sorry. And it's also kind of ironic that this year when Mason Miller faced Jackson Merrill, no big deal. Jackson Merrill had a walk-off home run. But the development of Joe Musgrove being healthy-ish and feeling good and pitching in a bullpen at 100%, 40 pitches, full arsenal. I guess we're going to see Joe again this year when I thought we weren't. Like I thought Joe was done. But apparently, he's going to try to make a return here in late August.
Here's something that just popped in my head. So, say Joe comes back. Do you think they tell him to lay off the slider?
Well, I think everything that he is doing right now is predicated on the pitches that he feels comfortable with. And
just because that was always the rumor that, when he updated his slider, that was what was causing some of the issues.
Well, I do think, it's been reported that he has changed a little bit or tweaked his motion. Like when he first got injured, he tweaked it. I don't know exactly to what extent, but I mean, he's been on this road trip. I know he's working out. He was there today, which I think for him has to be a pretty damn cool moment for Joe. Like top step. He's the only guy in franchise history to throw a no-hitter. He's beloved here.
Well, they're like fraternity brothers in a way now. They're going to be linked
forever
now.
He has every single Saquon ad that you could possibly imagine. I saw a funny tweet today. It was like, well, now Joe doesn't have to spend all his time at Saquon alone. Because now Dylan Cease will be at Saquon with him.
Where's Cease's commercial where he's drinking margaritas and eating giant lobster tails? And
well, hey, Saquon, you're welcome. Your next commercial needs to be with Joe at the pool, and then in slides Dylan Cease. You're welcome. That's your next commercial.
There you go. Checks in the mail.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. But Joe gets back. He's healthy. I mean, that to me, if you're a Padres fan, like that's exciting, but it is scary to then also have to trust Joe this year because he's been up and down. He's had, I think, maybe one or two good starts this season. Everything else has been really bad. When he went down, it's not like he was pitching amazing. He was one of the worst pitchers in baseball. So if you get him back, you just hope, one, he stays healthy, obviously, and two, he actually can give you some like quality outings and help you win some baseball games.
Read this off YouTube chat real quick. John's not here because he's soft, and
yes, he had his gums surgery or whatever.
Also soft.
Yes.
Off the YouTube chat, don't know why John hates the Padres. He would rather have surgery than be part of the second most important day of Padres history. Yeah, John.
I 100% agree with you, Brian. On the YouTube chat, go subscribe to our YouTube channel at Jon Jim. Yeah, John he texted me. He goes, I am drugged out on codeine. And
dude, then he should have came into work.
He says his like hands are kind of shaking and he's trying to sleep.
He would have been like David goes to the dentist on steroids because it's John.
Yeah. I mean, John, you missed a no-hitter. It just set up perfectly how last night we were talking about this very thing happening. And then it actually happened today. It's just a perfect coincidence. And of course, it would be the day that John. I'm just glad, honestly, Brent, that this didn't happen while I was in Europe.
Oh, you would never hear that.
I would never, ever hear the end of it. Oh, Jim, Knight, go to Europe. The Padres throw another no-hitter. Just stay. Everybody would be like, just stay in Europe, dude.
Well, they might say that anyways.
That is true. All right, coming up next, hour 3. More on the Dylan Cease no-hitter. Also, you'll hear from Dylan Cease and Mike Schilt on today's game coming up next. This update's brought to you by Mattress Firm. Padres, they swept the Nationals today with 3-0 win. Dylan Cease with his first career no-hitter, second in franchise history. Of course, the other one was Joe Musgrove in 2021. Padres have now won 5 games in a row. They are back to 5 games over 500. They are on their way to Baltimore right now as they'll take on the Orioles this weekend to finish up their 9-game road trip tomorrow night. Adam Major will start for the Padres as Michael King has been pushed back to the weekend. It's Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Save up to 60% on a wide selection of quality mattresses at every price. Plus, score a free adjustable base with a qualifying purchase. Hurry and stop by Mattress Firm today.
Jon and Jim. Joe, you have company.
No hits for the Nats. Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter. The second no-hitter in Padres history.
Dylan Cease fires the second no-hitter in Padres history, blanking the Nationals 3-0 out in D.C. Full reaction and analysis all day. Now, it's time for Jon and Jim.
All right, Jon and Jim, hour 3 on no-hit day as Dylan Cease has thrown his first career no-hitter, second in franchise history. Of course, Jon is off today because he had gum surgery. Soft. He'll be back tomorrow, though, on the show, so I'm sure you'll get to hear all of his great reaction to Dylan Cease's no-hitter. We did have a wrap-up show earlier, emergency wrap-up show. If you want to check that out, it's on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube at the wrap-up show, Padres wrap-up show on YouTube. So Dylan Cease, no-hitter today. I said earlier in the show, definitely a top 10 moment in franchise history, for sure. If anybody thinks otherwise, I would love to hear from you. 70470. Start your message with team. We'll read text later this hour. A bunch of text here on Dylan Cease and the no-hitter. But it was history today, not only for the fact that it was the second no-hitter in franchise history, first for Dylan Cease, but like I said, it's a top 10 moment in franchise history. I mean, to be fair, this happens with the Yankees. You're not saying that. You're just not. This happens with maybe the Giants. You're probably not saying that. Happens with the Dodgers. You're probably not saying that. Padres, it's top 10 moment in franchise history for sure.
Easily.
Now, you would love to get the World Series under your belt because that would be the moment in franchise history. But as of right now, we're not complaining about another no-hitter. I'll tell you that. Like yesterday, Jackson Merrill had an opportunity to hit for the cycle as a rookie. Today, Dylan Cease gets the no-hitter. They sweep the Nationals. They embarrass the Nationals, frankly, by sweeping the season series against them. Nationals, blah, 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 blah. I can't believe you celebrated. Oh, my God, you celebrated a walk-off. Look what happened. You effed around, and you found out. That's exactly how the season series between the Washington Nationals and the Padres went this year.
And the Nats have celebrated nothing since.
Exactly. And to top it off, you just got no hit in your ballpark, and the Padres officially said, no postseason for you. It's over. Sellers at the deadline. You're welcome. But it was an amazing game today from Dylan Cease. 114 pitches, 9 strikeouts, did walk 3, but 114 pitches is pretty methodical to me. That is a number that I think is like an average number for a complete game or a shutout, or in this case, a no-hitter. Because once you get to the 120 pitch mark, then you're asking for probably trouble. Once you get to 130, you're at like, uh-oh. Either please give up a hit or end this. Thankfully, that didn't happen today. Thankfully, Mike Shildt left Dylan Cease in the game. And thankfully, Dylan Cease rewarded Mike Shilt's decision for keeping him in the game by finishing off the no-hitter. Here's Mike Shilty, after the game talking about Dylan Cease's amazing performance and his no-hitter today.
Mike, just tell us about your view and how you kind of rode that at the last few innings there.
I mean, it was a magnificent performance. A lot of variables to it. I mean, the start of the game was interesting enough where he doesn't, he gets hot, doesn't take the mound, and has an hour and I believe it's 15 minute rain delay. And so then he goes back out and navigates through the first inning and comes in. He's like, I'm not quite there. Second inning, getting there. And then third inning, he just hit his stride. And, from my seat, candidly, there was a back and forth after the 7th with him. in a very healthy way, because in my mind, he's at 94 pitches. I'm factoring in the beginning of the game, looking to the long view of the season. But immediately he was convicted, like, I'm going back out. I'm like, no, I'm going back out. I'm like, and he comes in. I'm like, I think that's good today. That's good, and I've only had one other guy ever talk me out of it. And I just love the conviction. I think it's important in my chair to be able to be open-minded and listen to your athletes. He felt good. He felt convicted. He made a really strong case. I mean, look, I want him to go back out too, but again, looking at the big picture and the factor before. But once I cleared that with him, he was good. He's going to get an extra day before he faces the next opponent. And, at that point, we were committed to it and had somebody to back him up in case somebody had gotten a hit. But to his credit, he went back out, straight attack mode, and defense made their plays. And but that was a magnificent, obviously historical day for Dylan Cease.
Just to be sure, he did the 9 pitches in the 8th. Was that important to you?
Yes.
Was there a point?
That was huge. I mean, I didn't have a number in mind necessarily, but it wasn't going to get in the high 20s or 30s or anything like that. It's a slippery slope. The other thing about it is, as you would expect a no-hitter, not a ton of stress. So that part you could justify. He did have a little bit of quicker innings in between, but he's a really, well-conditioned athlete and takes care of himself, so that wasn't an issue for him. But no, his efficient 8th set him up for the 9th.
Was there any conversation between the 8th and the 9th?
No conversation at that point.
That was the moment of the game. You get a quick 8th, we'll be good for the 9th. But if you have stress in this 8th inning and you still get through it without allowing a hit, there's going to be some tough conversations had in that dugout. And thankfully, thank God, it didn't come to that.
It's one of those things that, if you're in Cease's position, the most you want from your manager and your pitching coach is just let me take it one batter at a time. Just give me the next guy. If I get this guy, then, just give me the next one, and just let me go. And we'll just do it on a, batter by batter basis, opposed to, and just seeing how it just plays out, opposed to just be like, oh, well, you're already at this. It's like, well, you don't know. It's like, get 2 ground out.
Yeah. Or it could be along the bat.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's got to kind of just, he had the confidence just go, okay, we're going to just take it batter by batter and just see how it plays out.
Well, thankfully.
And not get, the matchup say, we got a lefty or a righty coming up here. So the matchup part says I need to do this. It's just, they're like, no, just go ahead and try and get this guy out. And if you don't get him out, then you have to hold and just out.
And
go back.
And when you're that close, if I was Dylan Cease, like, nothing is standing in my way from me going out there to try to finish this off.
Yeah.
Even if I'm at 120 pitches, I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't care if I'm in the dugout and my arm is just so rubbery that, I can't even lift the Gatorade cup to get a drink. I am not telling anybody. Skip. I am fresh. I still got everything. Just send me back out there.
I'm going back out there. And the thing that Schilt mentioned, which is the key, is it was a pretty stress-free type of game for a no-hitter standard. Like, you had, I would say,
have a bunch of walks where he got himself into trouble and he had to get out of it.
He gave up 3 walks, but it wasn't like the worst thing in the world. Runner to get to second base there. But you had 2 plays in the game defensively. The Xander play in the 5th where he goes over his shoulder, shallow center field. The ball bounces out of his glove and right into Jackson Merrill's glove. And you're like, what the hell? And then in the 8th inning, ball hit to the right side of the infield. Xander has to go to his left. He slides, kind of bobbles a little bit, throws out Ruiz first. Ruiz fast runner. And defensively, like, those were the only stressful defensive moments of the game that I could remember off the top of my head. And then he's also referring to stressful innings with high pitch counts. He didn't have many innings that were stressful at all, really. And that's what got him to the point in the 8th inning where it's like, let me go out there because my pitch count isn't super high. And if I get through a quick 8th, then we're going out for the 9th, and you're keeping me out there until either I give up a hit or this thing's over.
Yeah, he didn't have an early pitch count or an inning like the national guy did in the first inning, where he had 36,
Patrick Corbin, yeah, he threw a lot of pitches, but he still got Patrick Corbin still got through 7 pretty damn solid innings for the Nationals today.
But it didn't look good though when he threw 35 in one inning.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to throw not only a no-hitter or even a complete game or a shut. Like, it's hard to do
And
that
he had
when
a
you have
45-minute break between it.
when you have an inning that you pitch, 30 pitches. And also another note here that I think is a key factor in this no-hitter today from Dylan Cease is that the rain delay in the first inning it happened in the top of the first inning. If this thing happened in the bottom of the first inning with Dylan Cease out there, and it was an hour and change, right? Maybe like an hour and 20-minute rain delay. Who knows if Dylan Cease even goes back out there? Maybe he does, but I highly doubt, Brent, he goes back out there and still goes through 9 and has his no-hitter.
I don't think you would. It would have been like how we talked about them, possibly doing a bullpen.
You could have maybe done it.
They would have had to have pretty much come in and just do a bullpen day just to get through the rest of it.
Or you just say, look, man, go back out there. He gives you 5 or 6, and then you yank him, because the stop-start stuff you don't really want to mess with.
Yeah, that would be my biggest concern, is just you can't get him out there for an inning and get his arm warmed up and then just.
Well, he already went through warm-ups. He already did everything pregame, and then he had to redo it all, or at least get back up and ready to go when the game started up again at 10:30 a.m. But just like that subtle rain delay, which pissed off everybody, because you're like, why did you start this game if you're just going to have a rain delay literally 5 minutes later? It made no sense.
Yeah, no, I had to laugh. They made a point on commentary where they're like, yeah, the grounds crew, they're just at the standby ready with the tarps. And it's just like, well, if it's that bad, then why didn't you just go, hey,
right? Like, what are we doing?
We're going to start 20 minutes late.
Well, even then, you have I don't know, Doppel radar. Like, you can see
Doppler, yeah.
When the rain's coming. Hey, everyone has an iPhone. Okay. I can look at my iPhone right now and look at the weather forecast for the next hour. That to me, it was annoying, but that's a moot point now because of everything that happened. I let Bentley, I was doing stuff with Bentley. I was cleaning up some stuff, and then I turned the game on. I'm about to eat breakfast, and I'm like, wait, what? Because I missed the first literally 4 minutes of the game, and I turned it on, and it's like rain delay. I'm like, whoa. But everything worked out. Everything's good. They got the game in. Dylan Cease got his no-hitter. One of the best moments in franchise history. They are hot. They are rolling right now. Offensively today, all they needed was the first inning. We haven't even talked about how they got their 3 runs. It was a weird way how they got their 3 runs. They loaded the bases up. Then you have an hour and 20-minute rain delay. And then Ha-Seong Kim comes through with a bases clearing double. Actually, it wasn't really a double. It was more like a shallow single, but James Wood took a really bad route on this ball, and he kind of half dove for it, and it went past him, and all 3 runs scored because it was 2 outs, and everyone's running on contact. So that was it. That was the game right there. Ha-Seong Kim coming through. Oh, trade Ha-Seong Kim for a reliever. No. I mean, are you crazy? You keep Ha-Seong Kim. You keep Donovan Solano. You're not trading any of those guys. Ha-Seong Kim came through the day, got the 3 runs on the board. That's all they needed, because Dylan Cease was fantastic. All right, get your text in right now, 70470. Is this a top 10 moment for you in Padres franchise history? Where does the Dylan Cease no-hitter rank for you in Padres franchise history? 70470. Start your message with team. Also, 877-767-4760. Where does this rank for you, Dylan Cease's no-hitter in Padres history? We'll take your calls and read your texts coming up next. All right, back on Jon and Jim. Jon will be back tomorrow from his gum surgery. Dylan C throws a no-hitter in his absence. Go figure. And tonight is the release of Deadpool and Wolverine. Brent, you're all ready for that. You're wearing your Deadpool shirt as we speak.
No, only 4 hours.
Only 4 hours. Yeah. So the exact time the movie for you is okay.
I won't have 30 minutes previews and then
right.
2 PSAs from the whole kid. How
magical games is. Magical. I understand.
I get why they did it during the pandemic. Hey, next to the movies.
We don't need anymore. I'm going on Saturday at 1 p.m. So I will be going to the Lot in La Jolla. Not La Jolla, Liberty Station. Liberty Station and one in La Jolla. I like the Liberty Station one the best. There's a lot of stuff around there. I like that one better. It's Erin's favorite movie. She actually never, before I took her there, have you ever been to the Lot before? La Jolla. Well, they're the same, right? But she, it's just the La Jolla one. I park my crappy Pontiac next to her. Right, exactly. It looked really bad. Yeah, exactly. But she never went to a movie theater that served alcohol and food during the movie, and also reclining chairs, and they're really nice, and you get a button, and you get table-side service there inside the movie. And I took her there. I forget what movie it was. Actually, it was one of our first dates. We went to see Jurassic World, the latest Jurassic Park movie. Horrible movie. But she's like, oh my God, this movie theater is amazing. And ever since, it's like, oh, you want to go to a Marvel movie? Well, can we go to the Lot? Because at least I can drink and have food and have fun. Because the other theaters, it's not recliners, and you can't get tableside service, and you can't drink alcohol in the theater, or at least get a margarita served to you in the theater. So, Saturday, Deadpool Wolverine. I have deleted most of my apps that would ruin it for me. So
there's so much product placement. It's this one's been really hard to.
It's been hard
stuff.
They're
between Old Spice and Jack in the Box.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things in this movie that we haven't even close to seen yet, right? I don't feel like too much has been spoiled for me yet. I saw one thing. This is what I deleted my TikTok for. I saw one thing on TikTok and I'm like, but it wasn't something that I'm upset that I saw. It's like, okay, it's time to delete it.
It's one of those things where they have so many secrets, I think, in that movie. That's why Marvel's just like, no, it's okay. We can let these couple leak out because we got enough that people will still be surprised.
They actually said that they released some deep fake stuff to throw off people from spoiling stuff, which I think is smart. You release things that aren't actually in the movie that could be deemed spoilers, and if they make the rounds, then it helps out the people that want to spoil the movie, but you're not really spoiling the movie. So we'll see. It's going to be fun. Brent, you're seeing it tonight. I'm seeing it Saturday. Jon's seeing it never. And so, yeah, it should be a good time. Dylan Cease, no hitter.
That's where Jon really is.
Yeah, he's really watching Deadpool and Wolverine right now. Yeah, no shot.
He's a closet movie lover now. He just won't admit it. He's at the Lot right now eating a cheeseburger and crying in the dark while watching Marvel movies.
No chance in hell. All right, so looking at the wild card standings right now, Atlanta. By the way, I know that Atlanta came in here before the All-Star break, took 2 of 3. It's like, oh, crap, here we go. Atlanta's going to separate themselves. No, they haven't. They've lost 4 in a row. They're 54 and 46. And they're only just 2 games ahead of the Padres for the 4th wild card spot in the National League, which will also be, I believe, home field, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, in the first round of the wild card series. Because 1 seed has the bye, 2 and 3 play 4 and 5. Right? No. 2 plays 6, 3 plays. Wait, why am I messing this up?
I don't know. All I
The
ever
top 2 seeds have buys. That's why.
Yeah, I just always remember.
That's what it
I
is.
don't know if it's still that way. They used to always have it set up to where
I'm an
like
idiot.
2 divisional teams wouldn't play each other in the first round.
Right. Top 2 seeds have buys. 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. Jim, you're an idiot. Atlanta, they're 2 games up on the Padres. They've lost 4 in a row. The Mets, who currently are playing the Braves right now, have a 2-1 lead over them. They're just a game and a half behind Atlanta for the 4th wild card spot. The Padres, they right now sit as the 6th wild card, even though they're tied with the Mets, 55. And then St. Louis is a half game behind the Padres. Arizona's a game back of San Diego, and Pittsburgh is a game and a half back of San Diego. So, like 6 teams at the end of the year, I guarantee you this will not be how it looks at the end of the season. Something will be different. You got 6 teams for 3 spots. They're all within like a couple games of each other. And the Padres have played really well of late, but even winning 5 games in a row gets you the final wild card spot and only a half game lead over the Cardinals. Like that's how tight this thing is. The Padres have played amazing baseball in this road trip, and they only hold a wild card spot by a half a game. Like think about that. So that's why don't give this back. Don't go back and lose 5 of 6. Like, take the series from Baltimore 2-3. I would be more than happy with. Finish off this road trip 7-2, one of the best 9-game road trips probably in franchise history. You come home, trade deadline, boom, you get a new starter in here, get a reliever, face the Dodgers, play well against the Dodgers, which you've played well against the Dodgers all year long. Head into August, and that stretch I've been talking about for a long time, where you face the Marlins and the Rockies a bunch. Separate yourself, stay above 500, don't give it back, and let's go. It's that easy. It's that simple. All right, coming up next, we'll read your text, 70470. Start your message with team. More Jon and Jim coming up next. This update's brought to you by Mattress Firm. Dylan Cease today throwing a no-hitter against the Nationals, striking out 9 in the win. Padres sweep the Nationals, embarrass them this year, taking the season series 6-0 versus the Nationals, sweeping them. Padres are now 5-1 on this 9-game road trip. Tomorrow, they'll start their final series of the road trip in Baltimore to take on the first place Orioles. Adam Major will start tomorrow for the Padres as Michael King will be moved back to the weekend. It's Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Save up to 60% on a wide selection of quality mattresses at every price. Plus, score a free adjustable base with a qualifying purchase. Hurry and stop by Mattress Firm today.
Back here on Jon and Jim. Give me your text right now, 70470. Sorry, your message with team. Also, 877-767-4766. If you want to call in and talk about Dylan Cease's no-hitter today, second in franchise history for the team. Not Dylan Cease, but second no-hitter in franchise history. Of course, Joe Musgrove. Just a couple years ago, 760 number says, with the Giants fading fast and having too many teams to jump, I get the feeling that they will be sellers and anxious to dump Blake Snell. Oh, boy. And his salary, I have this weird feeling with the uncertainty of Darvish and Musgrove, he could be coming back to San Diego. Well, I hate to tell you the 760 number. That ain't happening. There is a better chance of me pitching for the Padres this year than than Blake Snell pitching for the Padres this season. Because, one, his contract, the Padres could not have. Like, they could. I know it's a 2-year deal it's a 1-year deal with an opt-in for next year, but it's like a $30 million contract per season. And like, the Padres can't do that. There's no way the Padres would ever trade for Blake Snell. The Giants, I don't even know if they're going to trade Blake Snell. I do agree that they're going to be sellers. They have to be. They've completely nosedived here. Their season is over. They are sellers. But yeah, Brent has a better chance of pitching for the Padres than Blake Snell again. 360 number says 1.5 games behind Atlanta. You're right. 1.5 games. My bad. Sorry, they're tied with the Mets. You're correct. Sorry. 858 number ranks pretty low for a bottom feeding franchise. Get a series win, you bums. Hey, 858 number. Thanks for listening. And shut up. 619 number says highly unlikely Cease makes the start if he pitched the bottom of the first, considering Major is pitching tomorrow. Likely would have been a bullpen day with Cease tomorrow. You're probably right about that. Like, if Cease pitched the bottom of the first, I don't know what they would have done. I don't know if they would have then, you're right, push Cease back and then have like it be a bullpen day, or have Cease just try to give you 5 innings. It's crazy to think about. Luckily, it didn't happen. And luckily, the alternative was, oh, Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter. That's cool. 619 number says LeBron and Snoop carrying the American flag. Yes, breaking news. Good job. 858 number says, would the Washington Nationals trade their ace reliever Vargas? I think this is a joke text because yesterday, Brent, I don't know if you saw, as the Nationals were getting their ass kicked once again by the Padres, their position player, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but his last name is Vargas. He pitched the 9th inning, and oh my God, it's one of the funniest position player pitchers I've ever seen pitch. The way he pitched, it was hilarious. It was like he was doing the Soto shuffle on the mound, like shot putting it to home. It clocked in, Brent, at 33 miles per hour as his slowest pitch. 33 miles per hour. I could throw faster than 33 miles per hour, probably.
Yeah, he used to play for the Cubs.
What's his first name? Do you even know how to pronounce it?
Ildemaro.
Okay, good. Ildemaro Vargas. That was hilarious.
He's like a third baseman, though.
I don't think he does any. I mean, I think he's like
he's not a pitcher.
Non-factor. I would hope he's not a pitcher, Brent, because if he was a pitcher, that'd be a major problem if he pitched like that. Yes, that was
his changeup.
That was hilarious last night.
When that 33 mile an hour changeup just comes at you really fast when you see it 80 mile and then you go to 33.
619 number says the Brent and Jim show is way better, bro. John is old.
John's like a month older than I am.
Yeah, John's not that old, even though he has gray hair. 218 number says we won't see Corbin Burns in Baltimore either. He pitched today. That's a very, very good point. Let's see if they have the probables up here for the weekend. Stand by. So tomorrow it's Adam Major for the Padres against Grayson Rodriguez of the Orioles. He's 12-4 with a 3.83 ERA this year, 120 strikeouts and 105 2/3 innings pitched. Okay. Saturday, pull this up here. Saturday will be Michael King because he got pushed back a day versus Dean Kremer. Hope I'm saying that name rightly. Dean Kremer for the Orioles. He's 4-6 with a 4.43 ERA. And then on Sunday, it's a bunch of TBDs, but right now it's going to be Randy Vasquez for the Padres. And you're right, Corbin Burns will not be pitching in this series, which is a good thing for the Padres, a break for the Padres. And you need to have those. And hopefully, excuse me, the Padres can take advantage of that and finish off this road trip on an incredible high. Monday, Brent, is going to be so fascinating to see what happens. It could go until Tuesday, but when you think about it, Padres have an off day Monday. We'll be recapping the entire 9-game road trip, their series in Baltimore. And oh, by the way, we could be also talking about a new pitcher here or a new player or players on Monday because they have the off day Monday. They don't play the Dodgers until 6:45 on Tuesday. There's a lot of time for things to happen between their final game in Baltimore, which is at 10:30 a.m. on Sunday, and the trade deadline at 3 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday. So, yeah, I can't wait for that. All right, let's see what else we got here. This was earlier in the show. 619 number says, you're wrong, Jim. That bloop that Bogarts almost dropped are always ruled hits regardless if the ball hits the glove or not, because the scorers always factor in the challenge of an infielder running back over their head for a ball, blah, blah. Hashtag Merrill saved the day, blah, 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 blah. Do you know that 619 number? Are you an official scorer in baseball? Have you watched every single baseball game in the history of baseball to know that 100% of the time is always ruled to hit?
I tend to agree with him. They're way more lenient on calling things errors than what they used to be. It used to be if, ball went under your legs, it's an error. You should have had that one. Now it's just like, oh, well, it just took a bad hop. He made a good effort. So that's a base hit.
I will agree from the standpoint of how the play went about. Like if Bogarts was backpedaling and he tried to catch it and he dropped it, that to me is an error. But the way that he ran out there for that ball, which was trying to over the shoulder catch it, then yeah, if he dropped it, then it's probably a hit. But the other way around, if he's backpedaling into shallow center field, I don't know if he could because the ball wasn't hit like right behind second base. It was kind of closer to Merrill than
it's one of those things where there's been, errors have happened in games that didn't involve no hitters to where it's like that should have been an error. And they're like, oh no, that's a hit.
I'm glad that Merrill was there to catch that and save the day because there was a lot of things in today's game where you're like, I'm just glad that didn't happen because I didn't want to sit here and talk about it for 3 hours. Like one, the rain delay, two, that catch that we were just talking about, that could have been ruled an error or a hit. We've been talking about that forever. The eighth inning when it appeared that Mike Schilt was going to take out Dylan Cease. Glad that didn't happen. And finally, I'm glad that the Padres actually got the win and they swept the Nationals and they embarrassed them. They threw pie on their face. They told them, thanks, but go away now. We own you. Like it was an absolute beatdown of the Nationals this year. And if you're a Nationals fan, you're pretty embarrassed, I think. Like, I don't know what they're talking about in Washington right now. But if they're talking Nationals, it's probably not good. Probably not good after facing the Padres again and getting swept again by the Padres. So they move on to Baltimore. Try to finish off this road trip on a high. Don't stumble. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't stumble. You know, the streaks here since May 26th of 2 months, if the streaks hold, then we got a problem. But hopefully it doesn't. Since May 26th, all right, here are the Padres streaks, which is incredible. 5-1, 0-5, 5-1, 0-5, 12-3, 1-7, 5-0.
At least they're consistent.
They're very consistent with that. 5-1, 0-5, 5-1, 0-5, 12-3, 1-7, 5-0. 2 months. That is 2 months of play right there. Now, I can't do math, but I'll try. So, okay, 5, 10, 15 plus 13 is 28. They're 28 and 5, 10, 11, 12, 28 and 19 since May 26th. If I did that correctly, which I probably didn't. Let's do it together. So 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 12 is 22, plus 1 is 23, plus 5 is 28. 1 plus 5 plus 1 is 7, plus 5 is 13, plus 3 is 16. Oh, wait, I got it wrong. I'm an idiot. Okay, hold on. 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 5 is 15, 16, 17, 23. Okay, so they're 28 and 23. That's the number right there. 28 and 23 since May 26th. See? I can't do math. It's a problem. That's where Jon comes in handy. So they're 28 and 23 since May 26th with those crazy streaks in there. Not bad. It's gotten them to 5 games over 500. But that's crazy. Please don't do that anymore. Please don't all of a sudden lose 6 of 7 or 5 in a row here. Because that would suck. Because if you lose 5 in a row, that means you will have been swept by the Orioles and then get swept by the Dodgers. So how about not? All right. That'd be great. All right. Coming up next, my back page. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. No, I want it to play for the remainder of the show. What you want, baby? I got it. That's what it reminds me of.
I think that's what it's supposed to.
Oh, really? It's like a knockoff version, so I
Yeah.
don't get copyrighted on that.
And it's such a great value.
Well, maybe one day they'll change. Probably not, but maybe one day. If you've been living under a rock, Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter today. Surprise. Could you imagine you get in your car right now, 5:48, and you've been off the grid all day because you've had a long work day. And you're like, okay, I DVR'd the Padres game. I have it on tape. Like, I'm going home and I'll watch it. I haven't looked at my phone. You get in the car, you turn on 760, and you hear me say, oh, yeah, Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter. Like, what? I mean, I'm sorry that I ruined it for you, potentially, but I have a feeling most, if not all, Padres fans knew and know what happened today, which is like, duh, of course. And Dylan Cease, his next start will probably be against the Padres, and the reception that he's going to get when he gets back here at Petco Park will be very loud. I want to say when Joe Musgrove threw his no-hitter and then he returned back to Petco, it wasn't a full capacity crowd yet because we were still dealing with COVID. And this was like right when the 2021 season happened. You could only have half crowds at half capacity. So he didn't get the like full hero's welcome. He got a massive ovation, obviously. And he has a mural at every corner, and he's the Mr. Saquon and bobbleheads left and right, and like, murals and everything. But it wasn't a full crowd. This, when Dylan Cease returns, and I believe he'll pitch either Tuesday or Wednesday, how it lines up, it's going to be not only a packed house at Petco because they're playing the Dodgers, but he's going to get a massive ovation. And hopefully he can continue to pitch like he has been pitching. I'm not asking him to go no-hitter, but he's given up 2 hits in his last 3 starts. That's incredible. 2 hits in his last 3 starts.
I know it's on Monday. Is that good?
That is very good, Brent. That's very, very, very good. And one last thing before we get to the back page. In 2021, Don, Mud, Jesse, radio guys, like, they weren't in Texas. Everybody was here at Petco calling the game off of a little monitor up in the booth. And obviously it's revered as one of the best moments in franchise history for sure. But like, for those guys to actually be there and for it to be normal and call the game in person how it should be called, like, that right there is, not only is it special, but it feels like the baseball gods making up for 2021. Like, okay, 2021, you guys weren't there and it didn't feel the same, right? We'll give you this one. Like, here you go. This is a make good for 2021. And you feel great. You feel extremely happy for those guys, Jesse and Don, to be able to call the games in person and call the no-hitter in person, frankly. Like, that right there had, I'm sure that in the Padres history, yes, Joe is his no-hitter means more just because it was the first. But I think if you ask Jesse and Don at the end of the day, like, what was more fun to call, they might say this one just because it was in person, but who knows? But still, in person, calling the game, that's how it should be. All right, Brent, let's get to it. So with the NBA going to Prime and NBC,
boo.
Just wait, Brent. You love NFL Red Zone, if I'm not mistaken, or do you not have Red Zone?
I don't have
Red Zone. So you don't even care. Cool. The NBA reports are that the NBA, starting in the 2025-2026 season, along with being on Amazon Prime and NBC, are looking to add their own NBA Red Zone as part of their new partnership. The network shared a very interesting note. They have apparently negotiated the rights to launch a new NBA studio show featuring whip-around coverage on game nights. In other words, it sure sounds like a basketball version of the NFL Red Zone. The NFL red zone to me is like the greatest sports idea ever because of the climate that we're in. But I feel like an NBA red zone is just like a league pass. But
I don't really get how that would work. NFL makes sense. Oh, okay, teams in the red zone, there's a chance they could score. It's just like
it's hard to do it in bad basketball.
It's basketball. There's a chance they're going to score every time.
And there's NBA
Are you
every
just
night.
going to limit it to, okay, the Lakers and the Kings are in the final 2 minutes and it's a 3-point game. We're going to go to that and you're going to just, see the last minute of like a quarter, or how are they going to choose where they're going to go?
So ESPN, it's looking to start this. It'd be on ESPN. And I mean, maybe you could do something along the lines of a compelling NBA red zone, but it's just different when the sport's like every day. It's just.
Well, it's just the scoring is just so, fast paced in the NBA. So it's like I said, in football, it's easy. Oh, okay, they're in the red zone. Go to that game because they're going to get some sort of points, or they have a chance to get points. Basketball, like I said, are they just going to go, oh, okay, OKC and, the Knicks are, tied with a minute left. So we're going to go just show you the last minute of that game. And we're just going to, it'd be like my late grandfather's dream, because he always said that NBA is not worth watching until the final 2 minutes of a game anyways.
Well, yeah, sometimes. Finally, this convention, it's called the National, which has like old cards and
I
games.
thought you talked about the other convention
not
going on
not Comic-Con
right now.
At this place called the National, it's like an auction or whatever, and it's also Topps cards and everything over the last 100 years. It was revealed the oldest Twinkie ever, a Twinkie that has been sealed from 1980, is selling at this convention for $1,000. Now, why the hell would you buy a Twinkie from 1980s and buy it for $1,000 is my question.
Oh, I don't know. I thought you were going to ask if I would eat it.
Would you eat it?
Yes.
You eat a Twinkie from 1980?
Dude, don't you know anything about Twinkies? They last forever. That's why that was like the running gag in Zombieland, is because, and in Family Guy is that, Twinkies, when the apocalypse happens, there'll still be Twinkies, because they're like, I'm forgetting the other thing, but there's another food that they say will last forever.
1976, a school chemistry teacher, Roger Benetti, began the experiment to observe the decay of food, putting the Twinkie as an item that supposedly lasts in the test. His classroom until 2004, when he retired. The project was taken over. And this Twinkie is the Twinkie that is now at this convention. It's from 1980. Wow. Okay. I wouldn't eat it. I'm good. I'm good on that one. All right, Dylan's piece, no hitter. We'll have more on that tomorrow. Also, Padres start a 3-game series with the Baltimore Orioles, looking to finish up a very, very good road trip so far. John will be returning. Thanks to Brent. Thanks to all of you out there. Stay right here on San Diego Sports 760. Talk to you tomorrow, everybody.